It is my pleasure, and I should say privilege, to welcome you all to meet our special guest today. All of 17 years old, she took the country and the world by storm with her amazing golf at the Women's US Open a few weeks ago. It was both her level of play, her poise and maturity that won the hearts of not only the young aspiring golfers, but adults as well. In spite of her whirlwind schedule since the event, she was gracious to make time for us. So Megha, quick hello and wonderful to see you. I actually have a very funny story. Megha might not remember this. She was 8 or 9. This was at Pinehurst years ago. Malini was playing a tournament. She finished a round and we went into a Thai restaurant to eat, and we saw a family sitting with 2 young girls. So as we sat down, we see this little girl come up to our table, extends a hand, said, "I'm Megha from New Jersey. Are you playing this tournament? Because I am." And we are like, "Oh, wow," with her confidence. She walked right up to our table. And then, of course, Sudha and Hari came over and we sat. And since then, I mean, we have been in touch. And obviously, Megha knows we've been following her and supporting her. So this was great. So welcome, Megha. So you can say a few words. And then what we'll plan to do is hand over to Rishi. He's my elementary school friend. Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I can.
Sorry, something popped up. Rishi was actually the first student from India to get a full scholarship to come to India, come to the US to play college golf, and he won the gold medal in the Asian Games for golf. So these are his true credentials. And right now he runs golf in India, the Golf Digest. He's a publisher there, so he's a big shot in India right now. So when I called him up, he readily agreed, and I said the best two people to be on the Zoom call is Megha and Rishi. So guys, take on over. Rishi, go ahead.
Thanks so much, Rajiv. It's a real pleasure. And thanks to the entire community in Long Island for putting this together. I think it's going to mean a lot to a lot of the Indian kids here who are just very keen to do this. And Megha, thanks from all of us in India. I think you're inspiring a lot of young kids here, and even though you're quite far away, but we are all following you, and we take a lot of pride in your recent successes, and we of course wish you all the best in your future career. But anyway, I think Megha, you want to say something, and otherwise we'll just dive into some questions.
Oh yeah, just first, thank you so much for that introduction and putting this together. And I love seeing everyone here, and it's so cool that you all logged in to talk to me, and I'm really excited. So thank you.
Great. There's already 94 people on the call, so we've got 100 max, I think. So that's really good to see. I think people are excited to do this. So Megha, the way I want to do it is just kind of go a little bit chronologically, with your starting golf at the age of 7 and all that. And Sudha, please, so everybody on the call, Sudha is Megha's mom, and obviously has had a huge role and influence in Megha's golf career. And we'd love to hear from you, Sudha. Anytime you want to pop in, please feel free to do so, because there are a lot of parents on the call, and they would love to, learn from your experiences. So I'm going to start right away. Yeah. So Megha, you started at the age of 7, and I believe, first tee and girls golf and the LPGA got you started. So tell me, when you first took that leap at the age of 7, what was it about golf that actually caught your fancy?
I don't think at first, when I was 7 years old, I had particular interest in the sport, to be honest. And I just really enjoyed being with my dad and going out with him. And I made so many friends through those two programs, and I was there for more the fun social aspect of it. And it wasn't until probably a few years later that I really enjoyed developing my game and playing tournaments and doing all that. So I'd say if you don't love it at first, just get through that, because I developed a love for it later on.
I think that's a really good point you make, that the at a young age it's more about the fun and making friends and hanging out and just having fun. And of course we saw that you're still having fun. We saw that at the US Open, you were smiling and really enjoying yourself. And I think that's the lesson for everybody, is that for the kids, it's got to always be fun. So then would you want to say something there about making sure that Megha's always having fun with her golf?
Yes, definitely. When we started off, she just wanted to hang out with her friends. We were not too focused on, is she getting the technique right or anything. We just wanted to make sure that, or is she wanting to go back? And that was always our key, looking at, did she want to go back to go play and hang out with her friends? And then they had all these fun party drills that they were all enjoying. It was nice to see it was outdoors, and we had no major plan. It was just, it happened to be that she liked it, and we kept encouraging her.
Okay, super, super. That's really important. So, at what age, Megha, did you suddenly decide that you're going to, sort of compete, and you started feeling that you could be good at the game? When did that happen?
I'd say
From
around
just
eight
the
or
fun
nine.
to getting a little more competitive.
I'd say 8 or 9. Probably
Okay.
when I played the US Kids World, like Rajiv was saying, when I met Malini, and that was like my first big tournament, and seeing the competition is really what sparked it, and just trying to move up that leaderboard. That was the first time that I had seen so many good golfers in one place. And after that, I really wanted to just go back
So,
next year and go back. Yeah.
so when did you start feeling that you wanted to work harder and start, getting better than everybody else in your age? When did
I
you
don't think it was
start
ever
getting
about
ahead?
like just getting better than everyone, but it was just the thing with golf is that every time you play, it's obvious what your weaknesses are, just because there's so many errors, places you can make mistakes, and I was just trying to eliminate those as I went on and figure out things that I could constantly be improving on. But I definitely didn't mark my progress based on anyone else around me, because that can get a little bit intense and not very fun anymore. So I was just working on my
Right.
own game and seeing how far I could go.
Okay, that's a good thing. Don't compare yourself to other people. Just do it for your own pleasure and your own satisfaction. So you played in Augusta in 3 or 4 drive, chip and putt events, and tell us a little bit about that experience and how it changed your whole motivation in the game.
Yeah, like a lot of people think that drive, chip, and putt isn't as important just because it's not actual golf per se, but it was some of the most pressure that I've ever felt, just because if you only get 6 shots instead of a whole round. And right after that was my first taste of having crowds watch me, first time having something televised, and first time where everyone in my life I felt like was watching me play golf. So in a lot of ways, it was very similar to the US Open. And I don't think a lot of pros nowadays had that experience as kids, but there's a lot of kids now, 80 kids every year, who get to do that. So it's definitely something that prepares you for the future.
Right. So you said also you got used to the spotlight and media and a lot of attention, so that made you more comfortable.
Yeah.
In that, yeah. Right. So tell us, there's a question that popped up, which is part of this discussion. So I'll take it right away. That your move from first tee to competitive golf. How does that happen in the US? Like for us, it's not very clear. What's the difference between first tee and getting into competitive golf?
So I started first tee as I picked up the game. So I was 7 years old, and I never, you can sign up for classes there, and there's different sorts of programs depending on where you are. You go and play the course 4 times a week in a group, or you take lessons, or you do something like that. But I never stopped that. Like, I actually continued that until the coronavirus started. So it was very recent that I actually left going to the first tee. But simultaneously, as I was doing that, you have to just sign up for tournaments. So there's local tours here. So you put your name in and you register, and then you go play. Like once a week, there'll be a local tournament, 9 holes, 18 holes. So I did that at the same time. But the first tee is separate from tournament golf. The first tee is more learning and developing your game.
So the age of tournaments? When did that happen?
Could you repeat that, please?
Yeah. At what age was it? Around 12 or 13 that you started traveling and playing national junior tournaments?
Yeah, I'd say 12, 13 is when I played national tournaments more than 4 or 5 times a year.
Okay, so just like 6, 7 national tournaments and the rest were local, is it? I mean, how much competition did you play in those days?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd say it wasn't more than 10 events a year, and I traveled for probably half of them, or almost all of them.
Can I just interject, Rishi?
So, Sudha, if I can, Sudha's just taking a break. Yeah.
You're just breaking up a little bit. So, Megha.
Okay, I'm going to put off my video.
Yeah, Megha, are you seeing the questions popping up in the chat?
Oh yeah, now I am.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is between that, Rishi, if it's okay, I can kind of read some of the questions you had emailed me earlier, because unless Megha, you can hear Rishi clearly, or
it's breaking up just a little bit.
Okay, so Rishi, let me do a few questions and then maybe get you back. Go ahead. Hello.
What I'll do is I'll turn off my video, so that might help.
Okay.
Right.
So
is it a little better now?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Megha, does that?
It's pretty similar.
Megha, can you?
Okay.
I can't really hear.
So Rishi, should I just say some of the questions you had earlier? Hello.
Sure. Go ahead.
Okay, I'll pick this. Megha, Rishi sent me some questions in random which he was receiving from his students. Are you okay now, Rishi? Can we hear you now or no? So I'll jump back and forth with some of the questions.
You tell me.
Megha's the one who's to say.
Go ahead, Raju.
Okay, so I'll pick a couple of questions randomly, Megha.
Okay.
So first off, what do you have any advice how to stay sharp in current situations, especially in India with limited tournaments and travel restrictions? Is some thoughts on that, if you know anything like that, when you have lockdowns and how to stay motivated?
Yeah, I think the key, I think I can relate to this a little bit just because I live in New Jersey, and where that is, the golf season is only from, April, May to November. So there's 5 months of the year where I really don't go outside and I don't play. And people used to think it's a disadvantage to take such a long break or not play all the time, but it gives you a chance to focus on other things in your life. Like, if you have other hobbies, you could focus on that, but also just golf, I work a lot on my fitness and just exercising and making myself stronger. You can focus on that if you don't have access to golf courses, or if you have any chance to, create something in your own house. If you just grab a wedge and a basket or a bucket, just chip into that, and just playing games like that. But I don't think you should worry if you don't have a lot of access, because there's a lot of good players from really cold climates who have made it far. And you just have to find a way to, keep yourself driven.
What's your workout routine like? I heard you really have a very strong regimen of workout, and you were run 6-7 miles a day, So Jeff, can you share your workout routine, your daily workout routine per se?
It's definitely not running 6-7 miles a day. It's I'll do cardio about 3-4 times a week for 30-40 minutes, and then strength training for 45 minutes, 3 times a week. It's just, a lot of back and core strengthening, and it's a lot of injury preventative exercises, not really to, lift weights or get strong, but just things to keep you in shape, because when you do so many repetitions, it can really be hard on your body.
I'm going to pick a question from Grace. She just said, she wrote, I just qualified for the US Girls Junior for the first time. What is some advice for a tournament next month?
That's
Great.
awesome. I wish I was playing in that. I was going to, but I'm not anymore. But I'd say just enjoy it, and all your practice rounds and girls you play with, try to take a little bit away of something that they do better than you do. And that's what I did in my first few US Girls Junior. And, don't go in with the mindset of I need to make the cut, or if I don't make it to match play, the event was unsuccessful. Just play your best, because you never know how far you could go. And those events are the most well done events, and they're actually comparable to the US Open in how they run them. So you're going to be at the highest level. So just enjoy it.
Question, did you travel a lot as a junior golfer to different states or countries to gain exposure and experience?
Yeah, I did. After the age of 12, 13, I started traveling 5 times a year to other states and parts of the country for junior events.
Within the US?
And yeah, within the United States, though.
How did you prepare for big tournaments like the US Open? Did you have a routine or something different that you did when preparing for these big tournaments?
I just stick to my same routine as usual. I don't have a very strict practice routine. I kind of go with what I feel I need to work on, and I've spent a lot of course time. That's what most of my hours consist of, me just playing 18 holes. And I probably practice other than that for about 3 hours a day. So, yeah.
A question from Van. What role coaches played in your career and life in general?
I never actually had more than one coach. Early on, I had a few, but I've been with the same coach I've had since I was young. So I got very lucky in finding someone who understands my game, and I feel that she should have stuck with me all this way. But I know finding a coach can be challenging. So I think, try to stick with one, but it's coaches are hard because you need to find someone who understands you and you personally. But a lot of your game development, you just have to have trust in yourself, because no matter what a coach tells you, at the end of the day, it's up to your own discretion and understanding your own game to take it further. So have some more trust in yourself and don't rely too much on a coach's input.
What part of your golf game do you practice the most? Short game, mid irons, or long game?
Short game, chipping, pitching, and putting probably take up 70% of my practice, and then I'm on the range the other 30% of the time. But mostly I'd say just playing the course is very, very important. If you have the ability to just go play and figure out how to score, it's much more valuable than, hitting a lot of shots on the range.
Okay, I'm reading one more. This is a good one. How did you refocus from not a good to got a good start in your US Open, and then you finished so strong in the back line? What were you thinking? What was your mental? How were you talking to yourself to refocus?
I just remind myself of prior good shots I hit in my practice rounds and the last few days on those holes. Like, it's all about, for me, creating good memories, and you just think back to those good shots and good holes when you need to, and you gain confidence that you've done it before, so you're going to do it again. So I think, minimizing how much you remember the bad shots and making the good shots a lot stronger in your memory.
Okay, now I have a good question, which I guess every parent and child want to know is, how do you balance your social life, maintain the education level that you're an extremely good student, which we all know, and golf? Can you really be elaborate? Is because what I see right now is kids struggle with the time management part of it. If they're good players, they are lacking in the academic qualities. So how you're good in, you're excellent in both. So how's that? If you can be more detailed as what you needed or what your parents kind of helped you in doing that, if you can elaborate on that.
Yeah, so I'll go first, and then maybe my mom can elaborate more. But I think the key was that from when I was very young, I did a lot of extracurriculars. So not golf, but I used to do swim, tennis, things in school like karate. I did dance for a bit. So my schedule was always busy, and I always had a lot of activities to get to. So from even when I was in third, fourth, fifth grade, I didn't have a lot of, free time. I mean, it was always fun, but I didn't have a lot of free time to, just idle around. So I think that time management part just was kind of built into me because of how my schedule was from when I was young. And then when I took up golf, it was an easy transition because it felt like now I only had one thing to focus on instead of, so many. So that part came naturally. But now, you said balancing my social life and school and golf. The key has to be, which I see a lot of players at my level, the mistake they make is they think that hitting 400 balls is going to be better than hitting 100. Like, there's nothing you're going to learn on the 400th shot that you could not have learned on the 100th shot. Like, there's truly nothing that you're going to learn from 100 to 300. So it's, I can't stress enough how much, there's so much hype around, I'm the first one to go and I'm the last one to leave. But I don't know why that's like impressive. Like, I would think it's more impressive the less time you take and you're still able to perform the same way. So there's this big idea that you need to just be grinding and putting in hours after hours. And I mean, that's what you see in like movies. When I watch a lot of the sports movies, they're up at like sunrise and they're like grinding and they're tired and they don't have enough sleep. But no, it's about getting enough sleep. It's about making a balance. It's about having time to do other things. And so, don't think that you need to put so much time to get where, I am or where other great players are at, because it just takes focus for a short period of time and then allocate other time to do whatever you want, to go see your friends, to go study for your tests, to do whatever you want. So, don't create like 8-hour practice blocks because you think that's what's going to make you win. Because trust me, it will not. That's not what's going to do it.
So regarding school life, obviously, did you take time out to play these tournaments, or you had a full schedule at school, studied, did your homework and put golf in? Because the reason I'm asking is, it's not like a lot of kids think, oh, I have to give up academics, and especially most Indian American family think that it's either or, and you prove them wrong in the sense that you could do both at such a high level. So like, again, kind of repeating the question to you is leaning more towards studies and school. How did you kind of break it down? Because golf takes a lot of time. So how did you do that? How would other people, learn from the way you did things?
I had a supportive school system, which helped a lot, but I also didn't overburden my schedule with too many tournaments. If I knew that I had a lot of tests at one point of the school year, I blocked that part of my schedule out and I didn't play tournaments then. So I only played tournaments when it was convenient for me and I knew it would lead to the least amount of stress for me. So I think scheduling is important, and trying to just miss the least amount of school days possible. And I, relied a lot on my friends who were in my classes to catch me up on things, and created a good social circle for me where, I felt that I could go to them for help if I was, behind or needed assistance. And because a lot of the times the truth is you can't really rely on your teachers, because as great as some of them are, you're going to have a lot of teachers that don't support you, don't think you should be missing school, and just don't understand. So you need to take it up on your own, and just don't get dragged down by those types of people who don't understand your path and where you're going.
If I may add to that, so certainly time management is key. And then we didn't travel much until she got really good. So, I mean, she was winning quite a bit locally. And then we decided, okay, this is a good time to travel. And then during her high school years and key years, I made sure, certainly we missed big tournaments that are around major parts of school, like finals, or if there was any period I know this is a good school period, it's not a good time to miss. We certainly didn't play those tournaments. So it's about planning ahead and making sure she's comfortable, because even if I made her miss school, during an important school week, she certainly did not play well in that tournament because that was on her mind. So just talking to your kid and making sure which is a good time, which is not a good time, and just playing a decent amount of tournaments, but not. We certainly didn't play too many tournaments. So pick and choose your tournaments. Practice the other times when you're home, and time management is key. Yeah, I think that
So
helps.
both Sudha and Megha, obviously one of the biggest questions is you got recruited what, end of 8th grade to 9th grade at Stanford, and I knew you wanted to go to Stanford. That was your biggest passion, that you wanted to really go and play for Stanford and get recruited. How did that come about? What's the story behind that?
I got recruited end of my sophomore year high school, but I knew that's where I wanted to go probably since 8th grade freshman year. I attended one of their summer camps, so the coaches were familiar with who I was, even though my golf wasn't where it needed to be yet. So I think just getting on the radar, reaching out, you make a few big tournaments and you make a little bit of a name for yourself. Like after the US Women's Amateur, I made it to the semifinals. So I think just getting under the radar, and what I've learned is that they don't actually care as much about rankings as you would think. So I was not ranked the best for my year when I was recruited. There was like 6, 7 players who were equally on paper, like equally as good at the sport as I was. But they look at referrals and they ask their current members on the team, who do we think is, the best person, who do you think has the best mental stability on the golf course? And they go to their current players, they go to that, they check your academics, depending on the school, obviously. Stanford, it was very important to them. And they don't always go by like what you shoot in tournaments and what your ranking is, because that's all going to change by the time you're there, because it's 3 years away. So, it's important to have a good golf game, but also just be a well-rounded person and have a resume that stands out a little bit outside of the sport.
So Rishi types in, we are unable to hear him, I guess. Is it common for kids to get recruited so early the way you did, or you were kind of on the exceptional side of getting recruited that early?
Prior to the last 2 years, it was very, very common. A lot of people in my year actually committed in freshman year. That's at 9th grade, 8th grade, 10th grade. That's very common. Schools like Stanford, Ivy League schools, and a bit of the schools that focus more on academics tend to wait later until your junior year, senior year to make their decision. But now the rules are always changing for college golf and NCAA. So they put rules in place that you cannot commit before your junior year now. So I don't think it's going to be as common going forward.
So you've played with a lot of international kids when you're playing the tournaments, and obviously they all come to the US. So as you might know right now, a lot of interest among juniors in India, where Rishi basically heads there. So what advice do you give parents who have kids playing in India? How would college coaches look at them? Because India is not developed as yet in terms of the golf program. So since you have met so many internationals from other countries, what would make international students stand out for a coach? So what advice would you give parents and junior kids?
I'm not completely sure, to be honest with you, but I know that a lot of coaches prefer international students, and they actually look just to have a good mix on their team. So there definitely is a demand for international players to come to the United States. But I obviously hear more about European players and things like that. So I'd say any tournament where you have players that are international, if you're able to compete amongst them and showcase yourself against, any sort of European or players from different parts of Asia, I would think that would stand out to them, and that would get you on their radar.
Any tournaments that come to mind? Have you seen a lot of international kids coming in the US? Have you played any tournaments like that, maybe?
Mom, would you know? Oh, actually, the IMG Worlds. I don't think it's called that anymore, though. It's called
Yeah, it used to be called the IMG World. I think it's still called the IMG World Championship. That's when we played. That's where we see a lot of international kids. Would college coaches come to that? I am not sure at this time. But we've seen a lot of international kids come to those tournaments. Some of the AJGA tournaments, that is typically where most coaches uh, tend to come and watch kids. Of course, the big premier events, USGA events. But I know some coaches travel to Europe as well to the R&As, but I'm not very sure about. I mean, I think the best option is when you come to the AJGA, when you play the AJGA tournaments, most coaches tend to um, frequent those tournaments and watch kids at that time.
I have a very tricky question from Rishi actually. How is it likely that you will go all 4 years at Stanford? Any temptations to turn pro? I know Sudha's, I know what Sudha feels. How do you feel?
No, it's definitely 100%. 4 years will be complete. But you can mark my words on that.
Are you under pressure to turn pro by outside forces? As like, do you have people coming and say you should turn pro? How's that like? Or you just shut that out at this stage?
I don't say it's pressure. I mean, a lot of people have that opinion about me, and I don't know if you guys know, but Rose Zhang is the #1
Yes.
amateur in the world, and she is under pressure all the time from everyone telling her that it's the dumbest thing she'll ever do to go to college instead of turning pro, just because of how good she is. But she knows that's not true, and she knows the value that a Stanford education will have. So definitely blocking that all out is key. And I don't think I'm going to have trouble blocking it out, but I know where my priorities are. So I'll be going all 4 years.
Right. And what do you plan to do in college? Any major in mind you want to do, or?
I don't have an idea yet.
Somebody says, do you do yoga?
No, but I think my mom tells me twice a day to start.
Okay, another good question from
At
Rishi.
least.
How do you deal right now? I know you're inundated with all these interviews similar to ours. So how do you deal with the spotlight and the pressure you're under right now? It's obviously been, surreal for the last few weeks. And obviously I'll have Sudha say a bit also.
As of right now, it's all positive, it's all light, so it's not anything overwhelming yet. It's been all enjoyable, so it's nothing
Sudha,
crazy.
what do you think? Now you saw Megha under the spotlight, and she's an international icon right now among teens. So what's your take?
Definitely, it was a little overwhelming the week of the US Open and the week after. But I think none of us have social media. So, when we come back home, it's back to normal, really. Yes, we've had, some media requests and interview requests, which maybe she's able to happily do. And so far, and then I think we've always worked on keeping the rest of the social life in terms of meeting friends or family and just her hanging out with kids as normal as possible. So I would not, she went out for graduation parties and, just hanging out with her friends. And we would never, it was always important for her to enjoy a normal, being a teenager. And so I think she goes out, hangs out with her friends, and that keeps it normal for her. And yeah, for now we're enjoying this. As she said, it's been light and it's a lot of support. So for now we're just enjoying it.
So the summer, Megha, what's your plans in terms of golf? You muted it. Megha, your thing is mute.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Okay.
I was saying that this summer I'm keeping a little bit lighter than usual, and I only have 3 events as opposed to last few summers I had a lot. So 2 junior events, and they're right around me a little bit, but they're still big, and then the US Amateur in August.
Oh, that's in Westchester, right? Yeah.
Yeah, in Westchester.
So yeah, that's a local course for you, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it's close. It's like 2 hours, but I'll go and play it beforehand.
So somebody says lighter side, how far you hit your driver?
250 about. I'm like kind of average on tour, a little bit on the shorter end, and then in juniors like a little bit on the longer end. And I've had 3 hole-in-ones.
Oh, cool. What would you say, like now lately there's this big debate among juniors is that how far you hit. Like that's the length has become a big issue among junior girls. So what advice would you give in terms of a girl starting out between say 8 to 10-year-old to parents in terms of their golf development? What are the aspects they need to work on? Because right now all I hear is how far a girl can hit, and so if you can kind of enlighten us on your like what a girl should need to know between 8 and 10, or any junior for that matter.
Yeah, I think the whole distance thing is a very new trend, and as it should be. It's really exciting how far people are hitting it nowadays, and it's without a doubt a very big advantage. And I would love to hit it 280 yards versus 250, but the truth is that's not where you're going to score. So if you get joy out of hitting it further and further, please go ahead and work on that. But personally, I've never been super long off the tee. And it's definitely much important to be straighter than it is longer.
And for a junior, say 8 to 10-year-old kids, right? What would you suggest in terms of practice? Because obviously they are limited to number of hours they can put in. They've got school. I mean, obviously they want to, start doing small things at a time. So what are the few things you would, kind of give tips to junior golfers as such?
Yeah, I'd say, work on your swing, but don't obsess over the technique. As long as you have the fundamentals down, your body is going to change. You never know when that's going to happen from age 8 to 12 years old. So don't stress about the small, minuscule technique changes in your swing that someone tells you need to do, because regardless of what you do, you're going to grow, and that's going to develop into whatever it happens. So, but what you can really work on, and it's going to stay with you, is that feel, that touch around the greens, your putting, learning to score, working on your mental game. That can be developed from a really young age, or really starting to love competition. All that stuff stays with you, but staying on the range and trying to fix your swing plane when you're 9 years old isn't really going to help you long term.
So growing up, your dad and your mom always traveled with you, and obviously a lot of parents don't know exactly how to go about, because it's typically like tennis, they drop them to the tennis court and they're kind of done with. Golf is a little bit more involved. So before Megha, so can you kind of tell for parents exactly kind of advice you give parents who have 8-10-year-old kids? What are the steps they need to take in terms of involvement, and how they should, because most people have not played golf, most of the parents. So they are kind of like not used to how this works. Tennis is easy, swimming is easy, drop them off to the field or the pool and it's done. So if you can be a little bit more detailed and give advice to the parents as to how they can take, and then Megha can, add
Sure.
something to it.
So, if the 8 to 10-year-old, really starting, or they have some interest, my goal, I think our approach, I should say, which worked for us, Megha was busy with tennis. She was on a swim team, and she was an outdoors kid, and she was doing all other things as well, and we were not focused on, oh, let's get her fitness get ready, but she was just enjoying other sports. That was her fitness. And so what I don't think at that young age just focusing on one sport probably is healthy for the kids. I think let them play, let them enjoy whatever they do, other sports, basketball, other whatever they want, they probably should do other sports. And and we were between my husband and I, we had some flexibility in terms of pick up and drop off, like for the golf course and other things. Obviously, when they were very young, we were not too comfortable just leaving them on the golf course by their own. And certainly those first tee programs, or if you have friends, kids who are also, and then that becomes easy. We dropped them off with another parent who was watching the kids play the game. So if there were other kids who are also playing, getting them together with their friends so that they can goof around and practice some, and not really focus on are they hitting it really right, the technique. I think we were, just let them have fun, and if they have it, they will pick it up and I think they will go further. That's our approach. That was our approach, I should say.
Megha, what made you go, since you played so many other sports, what made you focus on golf? Since, both you, I don't think the Sudha or Hari played golf before, right? Did you, Sudha, do you
Harry
play
plays
golf?
golf.
Before, okay.
I play
So
tennis.
what made you gravitate to golf, Megha?
The social aspect of it, because it was easier to just you just meet more people than you would in some other sport where you're just, there's scheduled practices. The flexibility of it was also really nice. Like I could do whatever I want when I went to the golf course, but when I went to swim or tennis, I had to do exactly what, coach said to do. So everything about it was a little bit more engaging for me.
Now the US Open, which obviously, you came out as the superstar of the event. So tell a little bit about your interactions with the pros, because that's where all the pros were, how the behind the ropes in the locker rooms, if bit of an anecdotal story about Lexi Thompson or other pros you play with, a little bit of inside scoop per se, or insights which we can, you can share, of course. So we kind of
know. The pros in general, I wouldn't say that I interacted too much with them. I mean, it's understandable. It's like their biggest tournament of the year, and they're trying to make their money. So I wouldn't say they were too social in the locker rooms and lunch and all that. So it's very you and your own people there. But in the final grouping, when I was paired with Yuka and Lexi, me and Yuka have played junior golf together for 2-3 years and amateur events. So we were already really close friends. So that was really nice to have someone I knew there with me. And Lexi's also very nice.
Certainly some pros, who advised you to stay in school and not turn pro too, right? They certainly gave you good advice. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of the pros who, even who were successful and have made money and are on tour and didn't go to school, all of their advice is, go to school. So I haven't heard anyone make the argument for the other way around.
So you go in there, you always said that whenever you go to a tournament, you want to win, right? And US Open, what were your expectations? Were you really thinking that you would win it, or what were your expectations going into the US Open? Or it was more just for the experience, and it was,
I think my personal goal was definitely to win, just because it's easier for me to play well when that's my goal, rather than it's to win and to do the experience. You could do both at the same time. It's easy to have fun, and it's also easy to try to win. So both at the same time. I think my parents, my mom, her goal was just, be happy that you're there. And she was just like, just have fun, do whatever you want, make the cut if you can. If you don't, it's fine. But obviously I made the cut by far. So I think I have higher expectations for myself than anybody else.
And was it something you developed, like your expectations in competitiveness, or it was something you already had innate inside you? Like whenever you do something, you want to like achieve and reach the top, or how does the mental aspect of playing golf, which is 5 hours on the golf course, how do you keep sharp? How do you kind of focus while playing?
Yeah, I think it's definitely a little bit of something that I just have always had. And when you dedicate such a big part of your life to something, obviously you want to be the best at it as you can. I think that's, like, in my opinion, just human nature, because I wouldn't want it to all feel like a waste. But in my philosophy is when you go to tournaments, like, there's no need. A lot of people were shocked by the way that a lot of headlines were made by just me smiling, which I thought was normal. But like, you've already put in your hours and hours and hours of work before you get there. Like, you're not trying to work at the tournament. You're just trying to play at the tournament. You've already put in your work, and now it's just time to see what happens. You're not going to fix something. You're not going to change something. Outcome's not going to be different because of what you do in those 4 days. So you might as well enjoy it, because whatever game you had, you have coming into the week. So that's why I try to just enjoy myself during the actual tournament, because I know that I know how much work I put in.
I'm trying to reconnect with Rishi, because he had so many questions he had lined up. Rishi, can you hear me?
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, well, let's try.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah, because I'm,
Okay.
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 Rishi, go ahead.
So, Megha, one of the things that people have been asking is about, your staying away from social media. is that like a calculated decision by you and your mom and dad? Have you guys decided that that's something you should definitely not do?
My parents probably had absolutely nothing to do with it. I guess it was just, and I didn't really make a conscious decision to not be on social media. It just kind of happened. But it became a conscious decision about a couple years ago where I've never seen someone on social media who's really enjoyed it or it's added any sort of value to their life. And like, there's just really no benefit from it. So I was like, I don't have it now. And I don't really see a benefit in me getting it now. So my parents have even been, a lot of people think it's my parents, but they have been the ones who are like, maybe you should get an Instagram or something. I'm like, so it's definitely not from them, but I don't think it's bad to have it. I definitely don't think so. And you don't need to scold your kids for being on social media because it's obviously very normal. And there's people who handle it very well, but if I'm not on it already, I wouldn't want to start now. That's all it is.
But, do you see a lot of other kids who are playing top quality amateur golf and even the pros? Do you see them spending a lot of time on social media? What do you think about that?
I've yet to meet someone who's my age who doesn't have it. So I'm definitely the only one. And a lot of people are consumed by it, and that's all they're doing in the locker room and the lunch and right after the round. I'm like, just enjoy the week. Like, I don't know why we're scrolling through whatever you're scrolling. They're scrolling through pictures of the event while they're at the event. It was just, yeah, it's easier to like see it and see the problem with it when you're not involved in it. So I thought it was funny.
Right. Okay. Some of the questions, we got, and I asked it also in the chat, is that, are there any special exercises you do like to work on your mental game, like some meditation, or do you concentrate on your breathing while you're playing? Tell us a little bit about that, how you control your state of mind when you're on the golf course.
Yeah, so I focus on my breathing. That's important. And a lot of my philosophies on my mental game actually come from something called Vision 54. I don't know if everyone's familiar with it or not, but I'll type it in the chat so you can see it. But there's a book, and it's called Be a Player. And I don't use every single thing from that book, but I probably take 80% of how I do my pre-shot routines, my mental game, how I prepare for tournaments, come from that philosophy. And Arya Jutanagarn and like pretty much the whole Stanford women's golf team and a lot of other players have referred to this. And I would definitely check it out and get the book, but it'll explain it a lot better than I can on the Zoom call.
Right. So tell us, in terms of, do you have certain, while you were developing as a player, did you set certain goals? I mean, how do you set goals? Do your coaches help you set goals, and then you kind of try to work towards those goals? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I've definitely always set goals, and setting goals is the most important thing. I think after every season or after every tournament or year, just make a list of everything you physically on paper. I do this, not just in my head. Make a list of everything you have done. Make a list of why you think you didn't go further than that, and then find a way to work on that and write down what you need to do to work on that, and then make a new list of goals. And, a lot of my goals have not been reached in the time period that I set for them, and a lot of goals you won't reach, but it's good to have. Like, I always wanted to win the US Kids Worlds. That never happened. And I tried for like 5 years in a row. But it's great because those types of events and goals kept me going during practice and workouts and everything. Because without a goal, you can just lose your way a little bit.
Right. So, really important point you made a little while ago is about all the pros that you talked to. Everybody told you to go to college.
Yes.
So is there anything specific they told you about, when you do turn pro and you're playing pro golf, the perception can be, well, how is the college education helping you if you're playing 10, 15 years of pro golf? So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, mostly just that college is, a lot of people don't mention how fun it is. And it's like some of the 4 best years of your life. So a lot of people regret not having that experience, and the ability to, have a team environment and play there that's incredible because, you know, you make lifelong friends. Playing college golf is extremely competitive and a great environment to further your game, and you learn so much. And people say they learned more from college golf than they did from years of being on tour alone. So it's just a good learning experience. And aside from the golf part of it, you know, it's the first time you're away from your parents and you develop as an individual.
So, are there like benchmark scores? What would you say are the scores that a 16-year-old should be shooting? Whether girls would be different, boys may be different, to really have a good chance to get recruited to a Division I golf school in the US?
Yeah, D1, I would definitely say you need to be, you know, mid 70s to below par. Depends on the D1 school, obviously, but and then, you know, you move into D2 and D3 and you can go low 80s to high 70s, but obviously the stronger your scoring average is, the more likely you're going to get recruited. So.
But definitely minimum standard would be mid 70s to low 70s to get recruited.
In tournament, yeah.
Right.
And you can
tell us about,
you can definitely have this is key. You can definitely have bad scores. So when I was recruited, I had probably 4 or 5 rounds a year that were like 78 to 82. And, you know, that's fine. And that's going to stay on your record forever. So the college coaches see that. And I used to panic about that, but everyone has those, and, you know, they understand, and that's completely fine.
Right. So tell us a little bit, something a little bit more tactical, where, you know, you're in a tough situation in tournament. You've messed up a couple of holes, like let's say, you know, what happened at the US Open, although this got asked earlier, but what do you do to kind of regroup yourself when you, let's say, have a double bogey or a triple bogey? How do you immediately, you know, sort of refocus and stay calm?
I personally, you got to recognize your habits, right? So you have to take note of what you do when you start playing bad. So that can be different for everyone. But for me, when I start playing bad, I start moving faster. And I mean, I do that when I play good too, but I do that in a bad way when I'm not playing well. Like I, you know, make irrational decisions and I get too aggressive because I'm trying to compensate. So I'm trying to make birdie on the next hole. But it's key to know at a US Open, you're not going to make birdie on the next hole because the holes are all impossible. So you need to learn to slow down and pick specific lines that you know are safe, and learn the maturity to know that you're not going to be able to, you know, make 3 birdies in a row, because you won't be able to. You just have to accept that. So coming up with a game plan that isn't aggressive and recognizing that you're getting aggressive, that's how you stop it.
That's why yoga helps, Megha.
So just in terms of your practice routine, you said you like to play a lot. So what would you say average is, you know, number of 18-hole rounds you play in a week?
4, 5.
4 rounds a week. Okay. So
Let me add that.
So you play more golf on the course.
Yeah. Mom, you were saying something?
I said she has a good set of friends at the club that, you know, that we are now dropping off more as high school, high school, that I'm okay to leave her on the golf course on her own, and just set up good friends, and they all play good golf and they just have fun. So that's why, you know.
So if I'm playing 5 rounds, 3 of those are just me and a foursome with my friends, and, you know, we're playing matches, and, you know, it's in the evening, so stuff like that. But 2 of the rounds will be me actually focusing and being serious and putting in the work. But either way, you know, it's the golf is the golf. So that's what it is.
So Megha, one thing I wanted to know is, every time you're doing something, you're improving yourself. So what, do you have like 2 or 3 things you're working on now that you think you need to improve, that which you think are your like a bad habit / something you need to work on right now?
Leading up to the US Open and the tournament before, I've been working on my pre-shot routine, just because I thought it wasn't it wasn't as consistent as I wanted to be, and I wasn't really doing anything beneficial during half of my pre-shot routine. So I've been working on that, and I fixed a lot of it for the US Open, and I think that's why I played well. And I've also been working on my bunker game, because it's not bad, but it's definitely weak compared to the rest of what I saw from the pros. So that's another one.
So we have 3 more minutes left, and Sudha, I guess Megha first and Sudha is, right now you have taken the mantle of being a role model for teenagers, not only in the US, in India, and probably all over the world. So it's a kind of something you have to take responsibility. Do you think the pressure will, or you want to be a role model, or you just want to focus on your studies and golf and that's it? Or do you want to play the role of a, teen role model, which obviously you're becoming now, or you have become? So what are your thoughts on that? And then Sudha, if you can elaborate after she finishes.
I think I'm not trying to be a role model, but if there's someone who benefits from watching me in any way, then I'm more than happy to, help and experience that. But I don't think it's a goal, and I'm definitely not perfect, or my mom will elaborate. I have many flaws, and I don't do a lot of things correctly, and there's a lot I need to work on. So yeah, there's a role model. I could be a role model for the good parts of my life, but I definitely still have countless role models for things I need to work on.
So Sudha, what advice you have to give for parents? And obviously you raised Megha as a brilliant and exceptional person. So any tips for parents?
Thank you for that. Just trying to keep it, I think as I said repeatedly, just trying to keep it fun for them, and, along the way, guide them so that they're making the right, following a correct path, or giving them good advice, and not being too negative when something doesn't go according to what our expectations are. And just understand that they are feeling even terrible than we are feeling, because that they are the ones who are actually playing. So just being more supportive and providing a friendly environment, I think that's what definitely. And again, as for the role model, Megha is definitely a teenager. She has her teen tantrum sometimes, but she's a good kid for sure. Yes.
Rajiv, there was one question that I had got from somebody more on a lighter note. So if Megha can tell us a couple of bad habits she wished she could get out of.
Okay. One, nail biting. Terrible. And it gets worse every time I'm in contention. So, 2, what do you think, Mom? I think Mom should answer this, not me.
Doing your own laundry.
Doing my own laundry. Yeah.
So just those 2. That's good.
No. Oh, there are many. I don't think
these 2 are fine.
I talk
Megha,
too much.
as you might know,
I talk too much during my rounds, and I don't focus enough in my practice rounds. I'm too social during tournaments, Mom will always say. And
but eventually I will come to learn that actually helps her to relax, just talking with her friends and just being her usual self, is, trying to change them who they're not, certainly is not to their advantage.
I must interject here. I've watched Hari, Megha, your dad, and your mom walk with you when you were playing and when you're much younger. And like I said, they have been so supportive of you playing golf, and there were rounds which were not well, and that their body language was always positive, which I tell parents that, Sudha and Hari were like perfect examples of, encouraging. Never really, screamed at them, as some parents do when the kids don't play well. So thanks to you and Hari for raising such a wonderful person as Megha. Megha, we had over 100 people trying to sign in. We had only limited to 100. There were at least 20, 30 more who couldn't get on. So it was like wonderful to see the eagerness of people coming in.
That's great.
Rishi, say a few words, and then I'll have Megha and, with her some final thoughts. And Sudha. Go ahead, Rishi.
Sure. Yeah, no, Megha, Sudha, thank you so much for your time. I think it's been super helpful. We've got some really good comments on the chat. And I think just from some of the stuff that I've heard probably for the first time, and I've been hearing stuff for 35 years in golf, but there were some good insights that you guys gave. And I'm sure this is going to help a lot of kids, a lot of parents, kind of make some good decisions. And yeah, just remember that you've got a lot of supporters back here in India, and we're gonna be rooting for you for the next few years, and all the way till you finish college. We'll be following your progress.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rishi.
Thank you for everyone who
So
came.
Megha, say a few words before you leave. Your thoughts. We'll love to hear your last thoughts.
Oh, just I'm so happy. It's so that all of you guys are interested in golf. That's awesome. And you all look so young, and it's great to see you all here. And no matter where you go with it, whether it's college golf or just high school golf or just recreationally playing, it's going to open so many doors and connections for you that you can't even comprehend until you do it. So definitely don't think that unless I'm the end product that you weren't successful in it, because just taking up this sport is so great, and just enjoy it and take every moment, and enjoy it with your friends, your family, and it's a wonderful sport. So I'm so happy you guys are all taking it up, and that's great.
Sudha, last few things, say your thoughts.
The same exact as what is Megha saying. Just enjoy it. Enjoy the journey. For the parents, I should say, enjoy the journey. Being with them, taking them to tournaments, and enjoy the time. They're gonna be with you only for a few years, and just enjoy the journey. Not the final product. It will happen. What will happen will happen.
And there's going to be some very, very bad rounds and moments and stretches of tournaments for months, for years, and still now. And it's going to happen no matter what. So just get through it. And every single player goes through that. So don't get discouraged. It's a big part of the game that you're going to play awful for a lot of it. Wow. But there'll be a lot of highlights as well. So it's all worth it.
Rishi, you should highlight Megha with your publications. He's got a readership of 30,000 plus, right, Rishi? Your publication in India.
Right.
So
yeah, we have a weekly golf newsletter which goes to 30. Now it's about 33,000, and we're going to be covering you extensively, Megha. So we look forward to following your progress over the next few years.
I got to thank Hari. Megha, you don't know how much Hari helped in getting you on Sunday. I know he's on the road today. Right after you won, I said, Hari, I have to get Megha on. He said, don't worry, I'll have Megha. So thanks a lot, Hari, if you're listening in. I think he's on the road now, right? He's traveling.
Yes, he is. Yeah.
He's driving.
Thank you, Megha. Thank you, Sudha. And a big thank you to Rishi and Ankur, who's behind the scenes, who was monitoring the Zoom tech support. So have a wonderful week ahead. Enjoy your summer, guys. And hopefully we'll see Megha on the front pages regularly. Bye, guys. Have a nice Sunday.
Thank you, Rajiv.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Bye, Rishi.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rajiv.
Thanks.
Awesome. Thanks so much, kids, for joining in. Parents, really appreciate you guys. We just got news an hour ago that one of the 19-year-old Indian girls finished 4th on the Ladies European Tour, and now she's very close to qualifying for the Olympics. We'll get to know tomorrow or day after.
Very
So,
nice.
fingers crossed.
Bye, guys. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.